I'm my best friend's dating strategist. Under my guidance, she and the campus heartthrob are caught in a flirtatious gray area. Things could go either way. One day, I got a friend request. Hey, I'm the best bud and wingman of your best friend's almost boyfriend. Can we make a deal? Stop with the sabotage moves, he's already hooked like a base. How about we call a truce? Later, my best friend and the campus heartthrob came back from a date, shyly walking side by side, not even daring to hold hands, only to catch the two of us making out passionately on a path just off campus. When I first got the friend request, I paused for a second. The message read, Luke from Software Engineering Class 1. I thought it was some freshman. Our club was recruiting recently, so a lot of freshmen were adding me. As soon as I accepted the request, I got two messages back to back. Hey, I'm the best bud and wingman of your best friend's almost boyfriend. And can we call a truce already? Seriously? I have this gorgeous, drop-dead hot best friend named Kristen. She's basically the English department's unofficial queen. We grew up together. Our families are close. After scoring similarly on the college entrance exam, we both chose the same university. Don't let her looks fool you. She may seem like the kind of girl who could have guys wrapped around her finger, but she's never been in a relationship. Lately, though, she's been crushing hard on Carlos, the campus heartthrob. They're currently in the thick of a hot and heavy flirtation. Kristen may have the face and the charm, but she doesn't know the first thing about flirting. The only reason things are going smoothly is because I've been coaching her from behind the scenes. I've seen Carlos on campus, yeah, he's hot, and yeah, he's got his fair share of fangirls. But after reading his chat history with Kristen, I immediately pegged him as a player. He's got serious game, and he's turning my girl into a love-struck fool. Under my strategic command, things finally evened out between them. So this guy has a strategist too? I scanned the third floor of the cafeteria, but there was no one who looked like a Luke. Just as I was about to pull out my phone and message him, someone came up behind me. A low, lazy drawl whispered in my ear, I'm right here. I turned to the right, but he walked around from the left and stopped in front of me. I looked up and was taken aback by a face that seemed like it belonged in a completely different universe. Luke? He looked to be about 6'1", dressed well, black hair, a silver chain around his neck. Hi, Jennifer. He knew my name. We sat face to face near the window. I stared at him for a while, trying to figure out why everyone was so obsessed with Carlos. I mean, how come no one's talking about this guy? Your buddy sent my girl a lullaby recording in the middle of the night. Was that your idea? I crossed my arms and stared him down. Kristen was so flustered she couldn't even sleep. Luke mirrored my posture, looking right back at me. Was it you who told your girl to send my buddy a bouquet of Edelweiss for Valentine's Day, then told him it meant a friendship witnessed by snowy mountains? He shook his head. That was the first time in his life he ever got flowers. The dude was about to buy a plane ticket to confess his love. Then your friend hits him with the word friendship. He was speechless. It was summer break during Valentine's Day, and the flowers were sent to Carlos's house. I raised an eyebrow. First time receiving flowers? You sure about that? Come on. It's not like people can just send him stuff without his address. Fair point, Luke said. Cut him some slack. Cut me some, too. He dragged me out of bed at 2 a.m. to analyze a late-night story your girl posted on her feed. He came to your dorm at 2 a.m. Did he save your life or something? Luke said. He saved me from drowning when we were kids. As for my roommates, if he helps them pass finals, that's basically saving their lives too, right? Couldn't argue with that. Jennifer, let's just make peace, okay? I can't deal with his lovesick antics anymore. He pressed his palms together like he was begging. His flirty, almond-shaped eyes curved into a smile. Damn. He's exactly my type. So what do you propose? I leaned back, eyes still fixed on Luke's face. It was really nice to look at. Kristen's my best friend. I can't just leave her hanging. Luke's eyes narrowed, giving me another jolt of electricity. Isn't the whole point of being a wingman to get them together? Once they're a couple, our job's done, and we can finally chill, right? Okay, he had a point. I pulled out my tablet in front of him and opened my notes app. Then let's do a background check. A what now? He blinked. I looked him dead in the eye, smiling. Swear you won't lie for the next 30 minutes. Luke looked confused but went along with it, those mischievous eyes still locked on mine. I, Luke, swear that if I tell a single lie in the next 30 minutes, I'll... He paused, then smirked. I'll go impotent. I nearly choked on my spit. Is that toxic enough? More than enough. He's toxic, all right. I cut to the chase. You've known Carlos since you were kids. How many girlfriends has he had? And why did they break up? Luke looked a little stunned. Wait, this is a real background check? You better be honest. If you don't know, just say so, but don't pretend you don't know when you do. I warned him. Fine, he said, quickly getting on board. He's never had a girlfriend. Never? I frowned. What about flings? Back in senior year, he had a thing with this girl from the art program. He used to lend her his notes a lot. Probably had a crush. Then what? Luke's expression turned playful. She got into film school after graduation and told him she only saw him as a friend. Said she wanted to go into showbiz and needed to stay single. So he was basically her college entrance tutor? I was stunned too. That girl was smart, Luke said. He had it coming. For her birthday, he gave her over 20 sets of practice tests, all carefully chosen. Yikes. Major red flag. He might just pull the same stunt in a real relationship. Luke noticed my expression and added, Don't worry. I think he's changed. Fair enough. I noted it down. I kept grilling him with questions whether Carlos was talking to anyone else, his preferences, any bad habits. For the sake of my bestie's love life, I looked around, then leaned in and asked something a bit more personal. Luke gave me a helpless smile. Jennifer, some of these questions are way too private. If I actually knew the answers, wouldn't that be kind of weird? Just asking. In case you do know, I replied calmly. If not, that's fine. I'd pretty much covered everything I needed. But then Luke said, Jennifer, don't you think I should do a background check on your bestie too? For my bro's sake? Fair enough, give and take. All right, go ahead and ask. But you have to swear first, Luke said. What a charming little tactician. I smirked slightly, looking straight into his eyes. If I lie even a single word in the next 30 minutes, then I hope your future boyfriend goes impotent. Two can play that game. Luke paused, then laughed. What about your current boyfriend? Don't have one. Oh, Luke and I both agreed that Kristen and Carlos clearly liked each other. They were just dragging their feet. What they needed was a push. Since they were hesitant, it was up to us, strategists, to create the right opportunity. As the weekend approached, Luke suggested they try an escape room, a horror-themed escape room, no less perfect for getting flirty couples closer. I had no objection, but when Kristen dragged me there on the weekend, I pulled Luke aside the moment they weren't looking and hissed, Why are we here on their date? Luke replied, We needed more people. Thanks for taking one for the team. It was a 6-person escape room, but they let the 4 of us in anyway. How bad was this place doing? Luke, you and Jennifer know each other? Carlos had noticed us whispering, and my dear Bestie was looking over too. We didn't. Now we do. Luke stayed calm. Before we went in, I pulled Kristen aside. Babe, listen, no matter how scared you are in there, fake it. And when you get a chance, fall into his arms, okay? His arms, not mine. Grab his hand. Got it? Isn't that kind of too forward? Kristen's painfully straight-laced logic was driving me crazy. You've been flirting with him for weeks. How's he any different from your future boyfriend? Taking advantage of your own boyfriend is perfectly fair game. Got it? Kristen, face glowing as always, asked, "What about you? You don't even know his friend that well."
Don't worry about me. A seasoned strategist never gets in the way.
I pinched her cheek. Babe, whether or not you can land this guy depends on today. Go get him. After putting away our stuff, the four of us lined up and walked in, hands on the shoulders of the person in front. Carlos was in front, then Kristen, me behind her, and Luke last. We entered the pitch-black room, wearing blindfolds. It was fine at first, but the moment I took off the blindfold and that creepy background music blared overhead, a chill ran through me. The first thing I saw was a narrow, dimly lit hallway. A dull yellow lamp glowed on the wall, under which a bunch of notices were posted. This was a school-themed escape room. Next to it was a locked classroom door. We had to find clues from the notices to unlock it. The four of us huddled around the yellowed notices. Student X was disciplined for theft on date announced to the whole school. Student Y received an award on date. Student Z was reported missing on date, still unaccounted for. I felt uneasy reading them. I instinctively glanced deeper into the hallway and immediately looked away. Someone leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Scared?" I glared at Luke and whispered, "Who's scared?" The first puzzle wasn't too hard. We pieced together a few password clues and tried them one by one, eventually getting a key from a lockbox. Just then, someone suddenly slammed open the nearby window. A tall NPC barked, "Class is about to start! Why aren't you in the classroom yet?" I nearly jumped out of my skin. I instinctively stepped back, bumping into a broad chest. The person behind me caught me, Carlos, up front, grinned and looked completely unfazed, in fact, a little excited. "Sorry, teacher, we're heading in now." Not just him. I could see Kristen's calm expression in the dim light. "Come on! Bestie, at least pretend to be scared." "Seriously, am I the only one who's terrified in here? You okay?" Luke asked. Kristen turned to me too, concerned. "Jennifer, are you all right?" I gritted my teeth. "I'm fine. Let's go." A seasoned strategist doesn't hold the team back. Behind me came a soft laugh so faint I almost thought I imagined it. There weren't many seats inside, maybe 10 or so. The NPC teacher stood at the podium, staring at us creepily. His face looked pale and slightly green, super creepy. I sat down at a desk. Luke took the seat behind me. "This is a self-study period. Follow the rules. If I catch you chatting, you'll regret it." With that, the NPC left the room. The atmosphere immediately relaxed. Kristen said, "Let's check the desks for clues." On my desk was a textbook with a name written on it. I opened it, doodles and scribbled curses everywhere. From the notes, we could tell the book's owner had issues with teachers and the school. Carlos and Kristen had already left their desks and were checking other spots. Suddenly, someone poked my back with a pen. I turned around and met Luke's bright eyes, which seemed to shine in the dim room. "So scared of escape rooms, why'd you even come?" He tilted his head toward the other two. "You really out here risking your life for your best friend's love life?" I said flatly. "I've never done this before. I honestly didn't know a tiny escape room could be this scary. It's nothing like watching a horror movie." With just the four of us, it felt like someone could jump out at any moment. Luke chuckled, voice light and teasing. "Don't worry, I'll protect you." Yeah, didn't sound too reassuring. I didn't just sit there. I got up and helped search for clues. Together, we pieced together a rough storyline. Typical school, drama, bullying, teenage romance, student-teacher tension. I moonlight as a novelist, so plotting is kind of my thing. "What do you think you're doing?" The NPC teacher's voice suddenly boomed behind us. "You're supposed to be studying during self-study. Don't you feel ashamed after all your teachers and parents have done for you? All of you out!" I jumped at the sound. The next second, Luke grabbed my wrist. "Yes, sir! We'll get out right away." As we stepped out, The classroom door slammed shut behind us. One hallway light went out, and another deeper down turned on. Next stage unlocked. The deeper we went, the creepier it got. Carlos and Kristen, however, were deep in puzzle-solving mode, mumbling story theories as they walked. The next room was a girls' dorm. The missing student from the notices had lived here. It was even darker than the classroom. I had this creeping feeling someone could jump out at any moment. Still, even now, I stuck to the strategist's code. I didn't crowd Kristen. I stood next to Luke, watching as she and Carlos rummaged through cabinets looking for clues. After a while, I started checking the bunk beds near the beginning for anything we'd missed. There were a lot of words written on the wall, and I had to get close to read them. Some were curses, others were love-struck ramblings. As I was reading carefully, I felt someone tug at the hem of my shirt. I could still hear Kristen and Carlos talking not far away, so I instinctively assumed it was Luke. "Luke, quit playing pranks." Right after I said that, his voice came from a few steps away. "What prank? If he was over there, then who was behind me?" My body froze as I turned around and saw a long-haired woman in white, classic ghost look. NPCs always manage to find the person most afraid of ghosts. A ghost! My scalp tingled as instinct kicked in, and I stumbled straight into someone's arms. They pulled me tight, and just then, the already dim light went out completely. I couldn't see a thing. Kristen's voice came through the dark. "Jennifer, did you see the NPC?" I stammered. White dress, long hair, she scared me. That wasn't an NPC, that was a vengeful ghost out for blood. But even worse was the sound of someone chuckling above me. A gentle hand patted the back of my head. "Don't be scared. I'm right here." I belatedly pulled away and awkwardly stood off to the side. The light came back on, but then went out again. I instinctively grabbed the hand next to me, shut my eyes tight like that would help, and asked nervously, "Is the NPC back?" "Not far off," my best friend and her crush were exclaiming. "Whoa, there really is a ghost lady. Cool." They were actually chatting with her. "Are you the missing student? Is that your notebook in the drawer? You were pregnant? By who? What happened to the baby?" Everything around me suddenly went quiet again. I asked, "Is she gone?" Luke said, "Nope, still right in front of you. Gotta say, white clothes really stand out in the dark. Don't mess with me." "I'm not. Just reach out and see for yourself." Hesitantly, I reached forward and touched a curtain of long hair. I recoiled like I was electrocuted and shifted closer to Luke. After a long moment, I finally sensed the light again and slowly opened my eyes. Good, she was gone. But then came bad news. Carlos said, "Looks like we have to split up for the next task." There were only 4 of us, and now we had to split. The hallway outside the dorm had a fork. Both branches were lit, confirming the split. There was no debate on teams, Kristen and Carlos in one, the 2 strategists in the other. We found 2 walkie-talkies in the dorm and tested them. They worked. I watched the other 2 confidently head down the opposite hallway, and my legs started to feel lighter and less reliable. "Come on," Luke said with a soft laugh, reaching out to hold my hand. "Don't be scared. I promise I'll get you through this." His warm hand pulled mine along. The dim corridor wasn't long, but my heart was pounding. Luke and I followed the hallway lights into a new space at the end of the split. Before I could even figure out what kind of room we were in, the door behind us suddenly slammed shut. I jumped. Luke turned and tried the handle. It was locked. There was a keypad on the door. He chuckled. "Looks like we need a password to get out, Jennifer." We glanced around. It was clearly a school bathroom, a girls' room, judging by the layout. Small space, 3 stalls. Red and black writing covered the walls. There was a small notebook hanging from a stall handle, probably for duty records. Just looking at those closed stall doors gave me the creeps. Carlos's voice came through the walkie-talkie. "Hey, Luke, what's your situation over there?" Luke replied, Girls' bathroom. What about you? Looks like a biology specimen room. There are a bunch of samples. Pretty realistic. We're locked in. You? Same here. Kristen's voice followed. Since we each have a walkie-talkie, maybe the codes are meant to be shared. Let's trade numbers if we find anything. Got it. After the call, Luke turned to me. Shall we look for the code? What else would we be doing? I regretted asking the obvious. He smirked. Alone in a room with a guy and a girl, you sure that's all you want to do? Creepy background music changed to something even darker. Now with a low, ghostly female moan, goosebumps exploded across my skin, but I had to pull myself together and examine the graffiti. There were personal attacks, little ads, and scrawled dates, phone numbers, and student IDs. In the duty log, one entry read, "Toilet clogged, maintenance called." After that, the log was blank. We pieced together a few number sequences, but the door wouldn't open. Neither did Carlos's. Luke said, "Let's check the stalls." My feet froze. I had a very bad feeling about those 3 closed doors. Scared. Luke's teasing tone was way too obvious. I shot him a glare. "I'm not scared!" "Then you open the door." I knew acting tough would backfire, but there was no way I'd back down now. I summoned my courage and stepped up. I opened the first stall with my eyes half shut. The moment the door swung open, something pitch black dropped from above. I shrieked and instinctively grabbed Luke's hand. "What the hell was that? Go look!" He chuckled and checked. "It's nothing. Just a doll." I cautiously opened my eyes. A creepy-looking doll was lying on the floor. I opened the second stall with my eyes fully shut. Nothing happened. Just more writing on the walls, including more curses. After getting through 2 stalls with no issues, I finally felt calmer. Not wanting to give Luke the satisfaction, I confidently swung open the last stall door and immediately regretted it. A ghost NPC in white lunged out, face first. My brain shut down. I spun around and crashed straight into Luke's arms. I screamed, "What the hell was this?" I didn't mean to throw myself at Luke, but he was literally the only person I could cling to in here. A ghost NPC in the bathroom? I was about to collapse. Luke wasn't scared at all. He even laughed at me. What's there to be scared of? NPCs are just people in costumes. Look, she's got chains, just stay a few steps away. I was still in shock, too scared to even lift my head. I didn't realize my voice had gone all trembly. Luke patted my back and whispered gently in my ear, "Don't be scared." His tone was noticeably softer than before, though I didn't catch that. I was still too freaked out. After a long pause, he spoke again in his usual teasing drawl. "So, Jennifer, are you really that scared? Or are you just using this as an excuse to grope me?" That's when I realized I'd been hugging Luke for quite a while. His waist was slim, and his chest had the faint tone of someone who worked out. I could even vaguely feel some abs. Embarrassed, I pulled away from his arms. I didn't mean to." Before I could finish, Luke reached out and held my hand. He said, "Let's just hold hands. Otherwise, who knows where you'll go next time you get spooked." His hand was strong and warm. Besides my still racing heart from the scare, there was something else beginning to take root, a strange, budding feeling. The ghost NPC gave us a deadpan look and slowly dragged her chains back into the bathroom stall. The walkie-talkie flickered, and Kristen's voice came through. "Jennifer! What happened over there? I heard you scream!" Out of the 4 of us, I was the only one who embarrassed myself. "I'm fine, Kristen. Did you guys run into any NPCs?" Kristen replied. "We're in the bio lab. There's a male ghost NPC in a school uniform. He's got chains on and the makeup is pretty realistic. Gotta say, the staff here are really dedicated." How was she praising their work ethic in such a creepy setting with that calm tone? I was sure she'd already forgotten everything I told her before we came in. The escape room wasn't very hard. Most of the storyline could be pieced together with the clues. Luke held my hand as we searched the dark, eerie space for the password. It was just the two of us and the ghost NPC in the stall. No one else knew about this hidden undercurrent of flirtation beneath the game. At first, I thought it was inappropriate for us to be alone like this, but every time I tried to pull away, the ghost NPC or the sudden sound of crying women and wailing babies over the intercom scared me right back into place. As expected, the escape codes for the two rooms had to be swapped. When we finally regrouped in the hallway, that male teacher NPC showed up again, holding a weapon. He started banging on the walls to make noise, then began chasing us. His voice echoed over the speakers. "Since you've discovered the truth, you'll all have to stay here." Luke grabbed my hand and we ran. My heart was still pounding when we escaped. The whole thing had been way too intense for me. I was worried holding hands with Luke would be misunderstood. But when I looked ahead, I saw my bestie and her crush still immersed in the plot. They were analyzing everything, completely focused on the storyline, not each other. Useless. The story was simple. A wolf in sheep's clothing teacher had gotten a female student pregnant. She thought she was just sick, up until she gave birth in the girls' bathroom. Fearing exposure, the teacher killed her and dismembered the body, flushing parts of it down the toilet, which caused the clog. The biolab NPC was the girl's secret admirer, trying to get justice, but he too was murdered. Racked with guilt and terrified of revenge, the teacher resorted to superstition and locked their spirits in the school. The baby became a sacrificial offering. Creepy as hell. Luke and I exchanged a look and sighed in sync. Operation Matchmaking. Total failure. Still, those two might be weirdly well suited for each other. After our double-date escape room adventure, I pulled Kristen aside for a serious talk. "I told you to act scared and fall into his arms. Why didn't you listen?" Now she was finally shy. I couldn't. It felt too bold to just fling myself at him. Fine. If she wasn't bold, I sure as hell was. That night before bed, I got a message from Luke. He asked, "You still awake?" I figured he wanted to debrief the day's matchmaking mission, but his next message said, "Still scared?" Truth was, I was only scared in the moment. Once we left the room, I was fine. But thinking back on holding his hand, leaning on his chest, it left a strange aftertaste. I clicked my tongue mentally. I'd gone through all that trouble to set things up for Kristen, yet I was the one who got all the action. I was getting sleepy, but I still replied, "Can't sleep." A few seconds later, he texted back, "Are your roommates asleep? Can you talk?" I pulled back my bed curtain and took a peek. One was gaming with headphones on, another was blasting bullets in some shooter, and the last one was in the shower. "Nope," Luke called. "Good evening." His voice came through my headphones, somehow sounding even more alluring. "Why'd you call? Something up?" I played dumb. I had no idea how much Kristen and Carlos got out of the escape room, but Luke and I definitely had a mutual understanding. He chuckled on the other end. "Didn't you say you were too scared to sleep? I'm the one who suggested the escape room. I've got to take responsibility and comfort you, right? How responsible of you." He got to hold my hand, got hugged, and now he's offering follow-up service. "Then sing me something." Kristen had said Carlos recorded a lullaby for her and she couldn't sleep afterward. I wanted to see if Luke could do the same. "You really want me to?" That charming bastard voice of his dangerously seductive at this hour. "Yeah," I said. "Unless your roommates are around and it's inconvenient?" "Nah, they're not back yet," Luke said. I was expecting something half-decent, but Luke could actually sing. He did a solo of a popular English song, no backing, just his voice. And it was sweet. "Want more?" he asked, after a small cough. "What else can you sing?" I asked softly. "You can request something. If I know it, I'll sing it." I fell asleep to the sound of Luke's voice. I vaguely remember him saying, "Good night," through the headphones. Kristen later told me Carlos was taking her to the beach next weekend and asked what she should prepare. I thought about it for a bit, then sincerely said, "Just eat well, drink well, and have fun. If it were someone else, I'd remind them about safety. But these two were so straight-laced straight to the point of mental rigidity. Kristen and I are in different majors, so we don't see each other much on campus. Most of the time we hang out online, but lately, things in my life have started to shift, mainly because I've been bumping into Luke more often. At first, he just wanted to talk strategy for Carlos, but we started having more meals together. The weekend Kristen and Carlos went to the beach, he asked me. There are a lot of new movies out. Want to catch one tomorrow? So that weekend, Luke and I ended up at a mall theater. I wore a long blue butterfly print dress and did my makeup. Luke's eyes lit up when he saw me. With exaggerated sincerity, he said, "What an honor to be out with such a stunning Miss Jennifer." He kept calling me Jennifer classmate, so I returned the favor by calling him Classmate Lou. The movie wasn't a rom-com, it was sci-fi, with a pretty engaging plot. The leads were both attractive, and now and then there were some not-so-kid-friendly scenes that made my thoughts drift into dangerous territory. At one point, I turned to glance at Luke and caught him staring at me. I leaned over and whispered, "Why are you looking at me instead of the movie?" "You're better looking than the movie, Jennifer classmate," I shot back. "Don't slander the film my movie god starred in." "Get lost," Luke chuckled. "Guess I have to become your movie god then," before turning his gaze back to the screen. Not long after, he leaned in again. "What's the standard for that?" "Let's start with the body," I said offhandedly. The movie reached its climax and I got absorbed in it, forgetting all about Luke. After it ended and the lights came on, I still hadn't moved when he leaned in again and said, "Actually, I have 6-pack abs. They're just deep set. I didn't rush to get up either." "But your body doesn't really look like it," I said. "Is that a problem?" he asked. "What do you mean it doesn't look like it? Want to see?" I strongly suspected he was doing this on purpose. The setup was way too calculated. But damn, a scheming hottie is really hard to resist. "That's a bit much, don't you think? We're not that close yet." He laughed, eyes curving with that perfect face of his. "Do you mind if we get that close?" Luke said. "Can you tell I'm trying to date you, Jennifer classmate?" He smelled faintly of cologne, but more than that, when I met his gaze, my heart always sped up. Maybe this is what people mean by physiological attraction. Still, it felt a little fast, and I had a brief mental short-circuit before asking, "So, you've got a lot of experience chasing girls, huh?" He went quiet for a second, then gently held my hand. He looked at me with a bit of a laugh. "Are you trying to call me a player? Keep that thought to yourself. No need to say it out loud." Before I could respond, Luke added, "Want to run a background check?" "A background check like the one we did for Kristen and Carlos?" "You mean I should ask Carlos about you?" "No, just ask me directly," Luke said with a grin. "I'll even swear again. If I lie, I'll stop right there. I cut him off. Can't you pick a different curse?" "That last one might actually involve me. How about going bald?" I glanced at his thick head of hair and shook my head. "Nope, I'm not into bald guys." Luke laughed again. He stood up and took my hand. "Come on, let's talk as we walk." He said I was his first love. Maybe because I didn't believe him, he handed me his phone. "What's this?" "Check it. See if you can dig anything up." I handed the phone back, shaking my head. "I don't want to." Luke offered the phone again, giving me a look. "Relax, I'm not checking your phone." Damn, I think he really gets me. His phone was squeaky clean, just chat, apps, games, music, and his learning app. I looked up at him and quietly asked, "Can I see your photo album and browser history?" "You can see the album. The browser, let's wait until we know each other better. Gotta keep a little mystery." The pace of my relationship with Luke was rocket speed, especially compared to Kristen and Carlos. The other day, Kristen told me she and her almost boyfriend finally held hands at the beach. Meanwhile, Luke had already pulled me into a quiet, secluded corner and asked me to touch his abs. We made our relationship official on a rainy night. I'd been stuck at a club event till late, only to find it pouring outside when I left. Luke brought me an umbrella and walked me back to my dorm. He had just showered and smelled like body wash, sweet and clean. The rain covered the pounding of my heart. I suddenly wanted to kiss him. When I looked up at him, maybe I was being too obvious, because Luke caught on. He said, "I don't kiss anyone who's not my girlfriend." Such a gentleman, right? And yet he's the one who sent me a shirtless selfie. So I hooked my pinky with his. Then, do you want to be my boyfriend? I do. The next second, Luke lowered his head and kissed me. The umbrella tilted down, shielding us from view. His lips were so soft, the sound of the rain echoed the thudding of my heart. Luke and I were officially dating now, while Kristen and Carlos were still stuck in the ambiguous zone. Finals were coming up, and those two were planning library study sessions together. Before this, Luke and I had tried different ways to push them together. But just like Kristen wasn't being helpful, Carlos was no better. That thin layer between them remained unbroken. We hadn't told them about our relationship yet, planning to come clean after finals. But things rarely go according to plan. After our last exam, the only thing left was a paper I had to write. With a few days left till the deadline, Luke and I went out for dinner. On the way back, we ended up kissing on a quiet, dimly lit path outside campus. I really loved kissing Luke. He had this soft, warm sweetness to him. He'd always deny it, flexing his muscles to prove how tough he was. But when it came to kissing, we were both equally into it. During finals prep, we barely saw each other, let alone got to cuddle. In the soft glow of that streetlight, we kissed like we couldn't get enough. Luke's long fingers brushed the back of my neck, stroking my skin gently, until I heard someone call my name from behind. "Jennifer?" The voice sounded familiar. I froze, turned around, and saw a stunned Kristen and Carlos. They looked like they'd just come back from a date, walking close hands, nearly touching, but not quite. Luke looked up too, a cool expression on his face, my lipstick still on his lips. No need for explanations, they had walked straight into our secret. Later, in private, Kristen was in disbelief. "When did you two even start dating? You barely know each other." I looked at her and said, "Sweetheart, not everyone can flirt around for a whole year like you two. Normally, if an ambiguous phase lasts more than 6 months, it either turns into a relationship or fizzles out. If I didn't know Kristen and through her, Carlos, I would have thought one of them was a player. But somehow, those two slow-burn romantics had managed to click." Kristen thought for a bit, then looked up and asked, "So, do you think he really likes me? Why else would he hang out at the library with you, game with you, stay up with you all night, and constantly invite you out on weekends? There was even a time I had to compete with Carlos to get on Kristen's schedule." So, did I win him over? Sometimes being a dating strategist is really exhausting. But at this point, I wasn't sure I still counted as a strategist. After all, they say strategists never go to war, but I not only joined the battlefield, I also conquered the opposing strategist. I didn't rush home for winter break. Luke told me his best buddy was planning a confession, probably because we lit a fire under him. Their progress bar suddenly shot up. I was staying at Luke's little off-campus apartment when I stumbled across a surprising photo in his saved WeChat images. It was a picture of me, but the timestamp on the save showed it was from the year before last. Funny enough, I'd actually seen that photo before, taken during the school's sports day. I had signed up for the 200 meters race, wearing my department jersey, no makeup, totally casual. Someone had snapped a picture and anonymously posted it to the campus confession wall as their crush. That caused a mini frenzy. People somehow got my contact info and kept trying to add me. I walked over and plopped down on Luke's lap, holding up the photo. "What's the deal with this pic?" "We didn't even know each other back then. Don't tell me you took it." Luke gave me a kiss and casually said, "Saved it from the confession wall." "So what?" He said, "I don't care whose crush it was. The moment I saw it, You became my crush. What a bold man. Mystery solved. I stared at him. So you were scheming to get close to me all along. No wonder the first time I met him, I felt like he was subtly flirting. And here I thought he was just helping out a friend. Luke chuckled, those flirtatious eyes lighting up again. How is that scheming? That's called fate. Think about it, this campus is huge. What are the odds your bestie fell for my airheaded bro? His twisted logic just kept going. Luke said secret crushes always felt like personal chaos, but he wasn't one to believe in fate. He had to fight for a chance to turn a one-sided crush into a real relationship. Get lost. Who's spending every day with you? My boyfriend, who can practically seduce with a look, sighed. You were calling me baby while groping my abs and chest last night. What, don't want to touch anymore? Maybe I want to touch something else. Isn't that a bit fast? I'm not that kind of man, he said with mock modesty. That winter break, Kristen and Carlos finally got together, so the strategists temporarily retired. The night before I went home, Luke got clingy like a little pup and insisted I give him a few hickeys. Over the holidays, Mr. Lou kept sending me gym selfies showing off his gains. Honestly, they were pretty thirst-trappy, I replied. Babe, you'd look even better in gray sweatpants. Maybe the long-distance thing made him extra well-behaved. The next day, he really did wear gray and asked, Do you like the gray? I replied, Gray looks big. Then a few seconds later, I slowly deleted the message and resent. Gray looks good. Luke, just go ahead and play me. His verdict on me was that I looked sweet but had a dirty mind. Honestly, I didn't think this relationship would last long. My boyfriend really seemed like the type to cheat. But the truth is, he's a total simp. He pulled out every cheesy trick in the book and used them all on me. The guy had game. That year, a lot of couples broke up after graduation. I was preparing to go home and take over my dad's business when Luke looked at me with a sigh and said, Thank God I'm hot enough. Otherwise, how would I ever land someone as out of my league as Miss Jennifer? My family does own a company. I stroked his cheek and said sweetly, Don't worry, I'll take responsibility for you. After graduation, we started a long-distance relationship, but our hometowns weren't that far apart, less than 2 hours by train. One day, Luke told me he was planning to start a business in my city. I already knew he wanted to start something, but I thought he'd pick his own hometown. He pointed to a building in the commercial district and said, Babe, my company's up there. Want to go see it? I winced. The rent here's gotta be insane. I was afraid he'd go broke before launching anything, Luke said. It's fine. No rent. The building belongs to my grandma. She gave it to me. When I was a kid, I had my dad's surname, but my mom kept her maiden name. My grandma only has one daughter. She wanted me to change my surname to hers, so my parents helped me do it. He said his grandma used her financial power to win the surname battle for both grandkids. Even Luke's little sister took their grandma's last name. I was genuinely impressed. I couldn't help but say, Babe, do you really have to start a business? You know what they say, nothing more dangerous than a rich kid with a startup dream. My dad never let me do it. Luke looked at me, eyes sincere. Babe, if I fail, I'll just become your full-time model, he added. I'm gonna work hard these next 2 years. So don't even think about replacing me. His tone was serious, but the content, not so much. I fell silent, weighing the possibility. Later, I asked my dad, Hey Dad, would you accept a son-in-law joining the family business? My dad's super open-minded. He didn't even look up. How many? Are we talking anime boys or real ones? Okay, so he's cool with it. Then I asked my mom. She's been binging Yuri anime lately, she asked. Do you mean a male wife or a female wife? My dear mother, always ahead of the times. At last, I could tell Luke with confidence. Go ahead and start your business. My family's ready to welcome you. Extra, Luke's point of view. The photo Jennifer found on my phone from her track meet. What I didn't tell her is, I was actually there. She was warming up on the track, full of youthful energy. Some classmates were cheering her on. She had that fair, clean-cut look. I overheard someone nearby say she looked like their dream girl, pure and radiant. She looked so full of life. I watched her finish the race and take first place. Later, someone posted that photo of her on the confession wall. It was a good shot. She was already kind of well known, so I quickly found out her name, Jennifer. At first, that was the end of it. But after that day, I started running into her around campus more and more. Maybe I'd just never noticed her before, but once I did, I found myself subconsciously looking for her everywhere. I guess it was attraction at first sight. Shallow? Yeah, but I owned it. One day, as I was walking out of campus, I saw her ahead with her friend. I was just a few steps behind and overheard her say, "Kristen, trust me. Carlos definitely likes you. Don't reply right away, wait till tonight. Make him sweat a little. Trust your strategist." Carlos? That same night, I knocked on his dorm room door and said, "Bro, need a love strategist? Gotta fight for the job, even as a wingman."